A very good morning from the trailhead of Pen y Fan, which isn't just the highest summit in the Brecon Beacons National Park, it's also the highest peak in South Wales. There is an info board behind me with a map on, so let me show you what the plan is. There are a number of different routes to choose from to head up to the summit. I have chosen this one right here. Going to be hard to pronounce that, but the car park is there, and I'm going to follow a ridge line, hopefully taking me up to the summit, which is right there. But all these other trails are also hiking paths, and some of these other ones here as well. This is the most popular place to park and walk up from, Storey Arms, but I thought I would give that one a miss, go for the quieter route and see what happens. So we've got to head in this direction. Let's go for it. This morning I woke up in the small town of Craddock, which is near Brecon. I was staying at a little B&B, privately owned. When I woke up, the owner had already gone to work, so I had the place to myself, made myself some breakfast, checked out, drove through Brecon and followed the little narrow country lanes, most of them single track, some of them with no passing places, to the car park where I parked my car at the bottom. It took me about 15-20 minutes from Craddock, and the car park is small, but it is free to National Park members and only £3 if you're not. So I paid my money, and as you can see, just about 30 minutes in, we're already getting some cracking views of the northern section of the Brecon Beacons and beyond. We've got a sweet little mountain stream here that we're going to cross. There we go, and the path continues in this direction. As you saw on the map, there are two routes coming from the north of the peak, and I am taking one called, I'm going to try and pronounce it here, Cwm Gwdi. That's the best I can do, I think. I'm sure Welsh people will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, and I probably am. But I've taken that one because, as I said earlier, it is supposed to be the quietest route of all of them. It is about 7.5 kilometers up and down. That's about 4.5 miles. The total altitude increase on this particular hike will be 567 meters. There's no doubt about it. It is one of the steeper routes, but it is just there and back. Although you can make it into a kind of circular walk if you're prepared to do like double the distance, but I don't want to do that today. There in the distance behind me is Brecon, and just scores of meadows and fields, farms. And this section reminds me of a hike I did to a mysterious loch on the Isle of Arran in Scotland a little while back. I will link a card to it and also put a link in the description below. That was a memorable hike for sure. I'm about halfway, and so far the trail began with a kind of meadowy, fieldy area, quite boggy, and then it turned into a more steep trek with rocks and a more defined pathway like the one you can see behind me. I'm getting up close to the ridge now. Hello, old boy. There's some sheep over on my right. Speaking of sheep, there are over 10 million of them in Wales, and there's only 3 million people, so there's more than 3 sheep for every one person. But it is incredible to see them out here. I have come from that direction. We're reaching the part where the ridgeline is very pronounced now, and I'll show you that in a second. Here's the views to the left as I'm walking up, and you can see ahead of me the ridgeline now. Very, very distinctive with the peak straight ahead, I think. And if I come up here, this ridge on the left side was protecting me from the wind, but no such luck when I get up here. You can now see way in the distance, and the wind is blowing because I'm right on top of it. But what a magnificent view. I'm going to come back down to the left side and continue upwards. A gale. I am risking the hat for sure, but I'm not too far from the top now. I'm about 3/4 of the way up, and if I look to my right I can see 3 more sections, and each of them seems to get a little steeper as you make it up. The first one doesn't look too bad, the second one a bit steeper than that, and then the third one from down here looks like a rock face. Let's see what it looks like when we get up there. Section number 1 completed. That wasn't too steep. It looks like they have laid some rocks to help hikers with their traction getting up these hills. Gotta say, it's very much appreciated. Right, on to number 2. You're probably thinking that this hat is glued to my head. It very well may be. That section wasn't too bad, but the next one, the third one, is going to be a killer, I think. That is looking extremely steep from where I'm sitting right here. Better be careful with this wind blowing. Very briefly, the wind has now died down a little bit, and I can tell you about the very small lake that's off to my right side, now behind me. There is another trail you can follow that comes from the north. That was the one I was originally going to use to get up here, and it passes by that lake. So if you're doing that hike, when you get to that lake, you've still got a considerable distance still to travel in a very short period of time. Wind is starting to get up again, and as I navigate this last section, let me show you what we're up against here. Look at that, some very steep drops on the left side, and that is where I'm heading, up this trail and to the top. Next time I come up, or when you do, these paving slabs, rocks, may be placed into a more pronounced pathway up this final steep section. If you are thinking of coming this way, there is some proper scrambling going on now. It's not too difficult, but you definitely need to be climbing across some rocks to get up this third section. Okay, we've reached the top. I am very pleased to report. And here we go, we're going to touch the summit, 886 meters. That is 2,907 feet, and I've made it right the way here to the top. It is fantastic to see these views. I'll show you more of them in a second. The main hiking route up is nicknamed the Motorway because 90% of people use it, the one from Storey Arms, and so that's why my trail has been very quiet. I've only seen another 9 or 10 people, but there are loads and loads of people up here at the top, and that's because they've used that more popular trail. If you want to tick another one off the list, Cwm Gwdi, another mountain peak, 873 meters, is just a modest down and up from here. Probably wouldn't take you more than 30-40 minutes. I can see the town of Brecon quite easily down there in the distance, and thousands of fields and forests and isolated farms lit up incredibly in the sun, and I read on a clear day it is possible to see the southernmost mountains of Snowdonia National Park in North Wales. Well, that is going to do it for this video. I'm going to head back down now. It's taken about an hour and 45 to get up, and I've been up top here now for about 45 minutes. So thanks very much for checking out the video. Subscribe to the channel if you liked it, but hopefully I'll see you on another adventure somewhere around here in the Brecon Beacons area very soon. Good afternoon from Wales.